Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. So in this video I wanna go over an interview where Alex Karp gets totally smoked by an activist BBC reporter about the NHS contract that they are about to win. It's a very interesting interview. I don't think it went good for Karp, but it was mainly because this is an activist reporter. So this was posted to Twitter to someone's account that I'm going to share there. I never managed to find the actual video, so this is the best that I could find. So I think his name is Brett Kruger. I probably butchered the name, but I'm going to have it in the description box below. So let's look at the video together. I'm going to comment on it, and yeah, let's hope for the best. Please make sure that you're subscribed.
Let me read you this quote from Doctors Association UK, who are concerned about Palantir or any private company taking on the role of bringing all this data together. They point out that recent polling from YouGov has found that almost half of adults in England who have not yet opted out of having their data used, 48% are likely to do so should the federated data platform be introduced and run by a private company. That must alarm you.
Yes, it is very, but there's a reason for that, and I'll tell you the reason. Because almost every other private company in the world, besides my company, will take that data and transfer it to somebody else. And so if you're in England, you assume that when a private company touches your data, that they're going to use it for their purposes.
Yes.
Palantir doesn't do that?
Yeah, but you might in the future.
We've never done it in 20 years.
Sure, but you may in the future.
Well, first of all, we wouldn't even be able to. So the way our product is set up, I don't have access to your data. Our product does not allow you to do that.
Okay, well, let me put this to you. If that number of people do opt out, then Doctors Association UK says that will have a catastrophic impact on the quality of NHS data, which is an extremely precious British health resource. I mean, if that many people opt out, then the data becomes meaningless.
First of all, my strong supposition is that people are assuming things will happen with the data that don't happen, and that when you show them that it's not going to happen, and you can show them in real life that they won't. But leaving that aside, when you go to the doctor now, you have a pile of paper. Mm-hmm. So you go to the doctor now, not just here, but anywhere in the world, anywhere not using.
No, I get the.
So it's kind of tough to give commentary because she just keeps interacting him all the time. So one key data for us that came up is that, if you have been following Palantir for a long time, you know this already, but he said that even if we wanted to sell the data, we don't have access to it. And I think it's so stupid to assume that Palantir would try to sell your data and go on a protest because of this, because Palantir has never done it. It's not in their business model, and we know that they don't work that way. And just doing 5 minutes of research on the company would tell you that. Number one. Number two, I think all these people opting out, now here I'm really not an expert, and Haley H, probably butchered your name also, sorry. If you watch this video, please confirm in the comment sections below. But my guess would be that even if a lot of people opt out at the beginning from this federated data platform, each time when they are, in the NHS, in a new unit of time, they will be asked, okay, can we have your data in the federated data platform? It will help you this and this and this way. So even if there is a huge amount of people who opt out in the beginning, my guess is those people will see that, okay, the people who stayed in, their data didn't get stolen, they're getting better service, it's just simpler for their life, and nothing really bad happened with them. And they will just opt in the next time when they are being asked. And yeah, Palantir is helping solve the world's biggest problems. And yes, it will not be perfect from the beginning. And maybe it will take a few years for maybe 80–90% of the people to be fully opted in. But that's what it takes when you're solving big problems.
Why? I get the reasons why and why it would make things way more efficient.
Let me explain to you why people, I think, will opt in. First of all, you have to answer these questions in a transparent way. Then you have to show people that for the first time, their hospital bed is available. They understand why it's available. They understand if it's not available, why it's not available. When they go to the doctors, they don't have to fill out the paper, work 15 times and watch it get lost.
I understand that. I understand that. What I'm putting to you is,
just let him answer.
You never do it. You've got no plans to sell this data, or what I'm putting to you is, if you've got all that data, as Doctors Association UK says, an extremely precious British resource, in one place, that opens the door in the future to it being sold. Correct?
By the UK government, not by me.
Okay.
I don't have the ability to do it.
You can see why people are concerned then.
Absolutely. So the way to deal with people's concerns is to show them this is going to be much better for your life. It's going to improve your health outcome. By the way,
Okay.
the NHS has a huge problem with backlog. Those problems are not solvable without technology.
Okay. Your company is in the running to win this huge contract, according to Foxglove, which campaigns to make technology fairer for everybody.
So I think here his answer was good because how do you call it? From somebody who has followed Palantir for a very long time, you know that he was going to answer this. But from people who are watching this that don't know about Palantir, I do think that it's not enough to say, yeah, the government can sell your data. Like, why wouldn't you just really clarify that we only provide the software, we don't give a rat's ass about the data, and we don't even have it. So the only entity that would be able to sell this data, if they wanted to, but they would never want to, would be the UK government. I don't have the ability to do that. And this is what he said is just with a little bit too few words. And I think that that is not good. And also, again, for us Palantir shareholders, we have known and seen this guy in many, many interviews, and we know that he sits at the end of the chair and he fidgets all the time. And now he was even making this funny face like when the lady was asking him. I don't think this is really building trust with the new people. So yeah, it's probably not the best.
And according to Doctors Association UK, as a result of what they call pandemic opportunism and a concerted lobbying effort. What would you say to that?
We go to clients all the time and we say, look, we believe our product is the best. We will give it to you for free and you can test it. By the way, it's the other thing I would say. We're giving you the single most successful enterprise product in America, the most difficult place to win in.
Okay.
So,
well, just so we make it clear for our audience, your company charged the NHS just £1 in 2020 to develop its COVID data store, which holds...
I don't get what her point is. Please effing let him answer, number one. And number two, are you like pissed that he didn't rip off the British government in you know, when they had the greatest need? I think they were like God sent from heaven on, you know, white horses, that in this huge need, they didn't take advantage that probably the British government could have paid any money. They were printing money at that time, and they chose to just do it for $1 because they were so confident that the product works. Don't really see our point here.
Personal information on patients around diagnosis, treatment, etc. You then gave the government for free an IT system.
by the way, what's the problem with that?
Let me
Exactly.
answer the question, if I may.
Exactly.
You then gave the government for free an IT system to help with its Homes for Ukraine scheme. The government's procurement watchdog wrote to you about his concerns about how you gained a commercial foothold. He's
Again,
concerned.
Just let me explain something that's more towards America.
Well-
We have a problem in America in government that a lot of the software doesn't work. And so they're basically attacking us for saying, I know our software works. Most of the software that these entities use, as everybody in the NHS knows, is not working. So I want to prove to whether it's the United Kingdom's government or it's my massive business in American commercial. If I show up to you as a smart person and say, my software's so good, I'm going to charge you $10 million. You're like, well, if it's so good, why can't I try it? So it's because that's what every smart person is going to say. I've been all over the world over 20 years. I spend most
But isn't it also true, Mr. Karp, sorry to interrupt, isn't it also true, it then puts you in pole position for a really lucrative contract like this one with the NHS?
Which is exactly why they were doing it. Lady, what's wrong with you?
Everybody in the world who's in this business should do the same thing. One of the things
Exactly.
Do you accept it puts you in pole position?
It's like, do you accept that if you put in a bid and you write a really good PR about your company and a really convincing text, it puts you in a leading position to win the contract? Of course, that's why you submit the bid. What is this lady on about?
Is this way of going to market because I believe most software products don't work. It only puts us in an advantageous position because everybody who doesn't like it by and large does not believe their product works, or they would do the same thing. By the way, that product, under those conditions, saved thousands and thousands and thousands of lives across the world during the COVID epidemic. Thousands of lives.
I wonder if you could sum up for our audience watching then, what are some of the biggest benefits that can come from AI, and what are some of the biggest threats?
Well, the benefits are, again, better care at the point of need in healthcare. Every system in the United Kingdom works better, and those are the real benefits. Like your life expectancy goes up, your happiness goes up. You can fight against the evils of AI, including discrimination and false imagery.
What about the risks?
And the biggest risk is that the technology develops to the point where it's dangerous to us all. And that is a real risk. And that's why we need government officials to be actively looking at this, actively have a better understanding of how these things work, and can be able to intervene when it looks like it's going off the rails.
Let's talk about the AI summit, which is why you're in the UK. Rishi Sunak has explained why he's invited China, because he says it would be ridiculous not to have China. They're a huge investor in AI. Is he right?
Look, I think your Prime Minister's brought together what is arguably the most important AI summit to ever happen outside of America. It is positioning the United Kingdom to be the leader in Europe.
Should China be there?
I believe that we are in an arms race and that the world is fracturing. And if it was my decision to invite adversarial countries, I would not have.
And finally, I wonder how we're already seeing a sort of divide growing between tech-savvy international billionaires like yourself and the majority of people who might be trying to keep up with this technology and also thinking, hang on, it's potentially going to take my job and take away meaningful work and an income.
Yeah. Well, this is a very legitimate concern, because in most situations where you have a leap forward in technological innovation, the average worker pays the price.
Mm-hmm. Will it be the same this time?
Well, this is a context where I think embraced correctly, you'll have more jobs. Simply for the reason I mentioned, that you can now plausibly do things as well or better than any other country in a business-friendly, entrepreneurial environment like the United Kingdom. One of the things I hope this summit and this begins to get across to people is this technology can actually be the friend of the average worker. Whereas in most cases, these technologies, people at the top benefit and get wealthier and happier, and everyone else gets poorer and hungrier and lives a worse lifestyle.
So how can this technology be the friend of the average worker?
Because you can now build a lot of things in the United Kingdom that were difficult to build in the past. And this is a much better place to build them.
Alex Karp.
You can see that this was an activist reporter just in the end. She's like, Alex Karp. Yeah, I think, guys, that he got smoked in this interview, and just because he's a very eccentric guy, and he starts explaining something and then he goes into a whole circle, and as long as he is allowed to fully say what he thinks, you understand what he's saying and you're like, okay, he's an eccentric guy and he kind of makes sense. But this lady kept interacting with him in the middle, and on top of it he was like fidgeting in the chair and making this like Alex Karp faces. He's even making one right there. You can see his mouth is like. So me as a shareholder, I know the guy, and he's very consistent. He has said things that he always says, and I know the company inside out. But I can totally see that a new guy in the UK who is worried about their data in the NHS and his federated data platform, he sees a weird guy who's fidgeting on the chair, making faces and giving funny answers to this question, and it doesn't come off as very convincing if I look from that viewpoint, But as I said, it's because this lady really had an agenda and didn't let him speak, and I think she's an activist reporter. So my prediction is, and I really want to see, Haley, if you're watching this video, if I'm right about this. I think, yeah, even if a lot of people opt out of the federal data platform, when they see that nothing bad is happening, they're going to opt back in because it's going to be better. And for Palantir shareholders, I can already see if Palantir makes a mistake on this NHS thing, if this is not a resounding success after 1 or 2 years, it's going to really suck for Palantir, because there's so much hoopla around this contract, and the international media, if they fail with the NHS, is just going to be non-stop going like, Palantir effed up in UK, and imagine what they're going to do in your country. So you better do well with this contract. That's all I'm going to say. I hope it gets awarded next week. Earnings is next week, guys. It's very, very exciting. So thank you so much for watching. Please make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Ciao, ciao.